Hi, my name is Dwayne Ward. I'm 51 years old. I am happily married in a blended family with three wonderful kids. I am a Scrum Master, project manager for those that don't know what a Scrum Master is. Let's see, my hobbies. Oh boy, what don't I do for hobbies? I love Transformers, Voltrons, anything 80s nerdy. I love swords, I love 3D printing, Dungeons and Dragons, all the nerd stuff you can possibly imagine. That's me. What inspired me to join Rotary? Well, my wife Brandy, she got involved with the Rotary due to her involvement in a bunch of other organizations, and actually she's the one that really embodies that official motto that the founder Arthur Sheldon had come up with, which is service above self, and the other one which is one profits most who serves best. My initial involvement was, well, because I'm a tech nerd, and the organization needed assistance in the area of technology, social media, and all of that fun stuff. And Brandy, of course, reached out to me and said, "Hey, need some help," and and the rest is history. We're a family that we really like to help others. Brandy does a lot of her stuff through her local humanitarian outreach. I do it by helping people that are impacted, that have dealt with the family court system. But we both basically have a huge desire to leave the world a better place than we found it. We both value fellowship, integrity, diversity, service, and leadership, and that's the core values of the Rotary. Okay, how has my experience with the Rotary impacted the local community and any specific projects or anything? The time that I've been with the Rotary, let's see, I've been a part of quite a few of them actually. Let's see here, bell ringing at Christmas time. We've been cleaning up parks, residences, other nonprofit areas. We've been raising a lot of money for the local youth college funds. Past few years, I've been involved with the Memorial Day program. That's a couple off the top of my head. A lot of it, though, as far as what I got out of it, it's watching the Rotary team. These were people all over the place, and they all came together selflessly for the actual community to make it better. And it just kind of gave me that sense of pride. We don't have that today. You just don't see it. And watching these guys and girls coming together and just kind of working as a team to help out the community, and they didn't ask for anything in return. What are some unique opportunities or experiences that being a Rotary member that's provided to me both personally and professionally? Well, first and foremost, it's given me a sense of belonging. Kind of loosely paraphrasing a past president, basically being a part of something that's bigger than yourself. That's something that I think everyone kind of yearns to have. I've gotten to know people in the community that I would have never have bumped into on the street. The people that make up the Rotary, they come from a very diverse, wide background, and I would have never had a chance to talk with them or share my ideas with them, learn from these people, had it not been part of the Rotary team. And those connections that I've made with these people are connections I'm going to have for the rest of my life. I'm going to definitely treasure them for the rest of my life. It also taught me, because again, what a lot of people get nowadays is their view of the world from social media and from the news, which has a very skewed reality. But in getting into the community and talking with people in the Rotary and spending time with them, I've learned that we're pretty much all the same. We kind of all have the same goals. We want purpose. We want to matter, and we do want to be a part of something that's bigger than ourselves. My professional connections have been awesome. I get to sit and learn from industry professionals across a large spectrum. Actually, in my own industry that I'm in, I kind of enjoy having that clout. I get respect, get props from people because they find out that I'm part of the Rotary, and it has a name, it has some weight to it, and people. They find out that I'm part of the Rotary, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about," kind of thing. Even though I don't. Techie stuff. Handling a lot of the social media and the technology background for the Rotary. It basically keeps me kind of in it. Keeps me sharpened up. And I can take those skills that I learned by being a part of the Rotary, and I'm able to transfer out into my personal and professional life, and vice versa. So it really works, all the way around. So Rotary is known for its commitment to international service and fostering global understanding. How is your involvement in the Rotary expanding your perspective on global issues and cultural diversity? I'm an extremely proud American. America is a great nation. It's because of its people. The ones that have been here for generations, the ones that that legally adopted our nation as their own. I work professionally in teams all across the world, and over the years of working with them, you have a tendency to think of them as a face or a voice, but not a quote real person. The things that I've learned from the Rotary is humanized it. It's taught me that that person that's on the other side of the world is a real person, and they're facing issues. I've found out just through different things that a few of my teammates over there actually are a member of their Rotary, and it's kind of given us this kind of a cool brotherhood or sisterhood in a lot of my cases that we didn't have before. And I don't know, it teaches you that the world's a little bit bigger than you. For those of you who might be considering joining Rotary, what would you say are the most rewarding aspects of being a member, and how has it enriched your life in ways you didn't expect? I'd say it doesn't matter who you are, what walk of life you're from, or where you are at in life. If you have a desire to leave this world a better place than you found it, a desire for a sense of belonging, accomplishment, respect in the community, you want to learn a new skill, basically be a part of something bigger than yourself, then Rotary is for you. I don't want you thinking, I'm too young, I'm too old, I don't have a particular set of skills, I don't have enough time, or any of those other excuses people use to hold themselves back. The Rotary is an organization. It can utilize you wherever you're at right now. It can develop you, it can hone your skills, hone who you are personally and professionally, and it's going to teach you the true meaning of one profits most who serves best.
Good morning. Thank you guys for being here for Golden Triangle Rotary Club, our morning meeting. We're going to start with our prayer and pledge.
And then Jeff's going to lead us in the pledge. You're up, buddy.
Lord, thank you for the opportunity to come together under the mindset of the four-way test. Help us be the best that we can be for our family, our community, and our country. Help guide at this time our politicians to make wise leadership choices. In your name we pray.
before I hand this over to Alan, I just want to remind everyone, go on Facebook now if you can. Check in that you're here. There's a live feed you can share. And also there is a pickleball tournament, really cool video on our Facebook page that you can share as well.
All right, so we have at least two guests that I see this morning. One guest is a former member that we've coerced into coming back. Glenn, welcome. And then Jeff continues to bring his sweetheart with him. So. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to get him confused. I'm sorry. Any brags and blessings this morning? I know Christy's got one. Good morning, Felix.
My baby girl got her acceptance letter for University of Arkansas. So we're going to have a
Doing okay? I was just checking on Joe. It's only like 5 after and he's here. All right. Any other brags and blessings this morning? Justin. He's our speaker, though. He's my guest. I was going to introduce him as a speaker. Or let you introduce him as a speaker. All right. Do our committee reports real quick. Let's start with membership. That's what she said.
Really in the morning for that. We do have one application for membership that I'm excited to read to you. Nicole Martin, a.k.a. Nikki, right? She is was a guest of Christy and welcome to the club. She's here on membership day. She's an RN in the emergency department of the Texas Health Resources Alliance. She is 8 years volunteering at various places and was been working in children's schools and PTO and forming a booster club, and she's been very involved in that arena. And so we will be reading this application at the board meeting for a vote, first board meeting in November. We also have Rick Westfall's formal transfer. Thank you, John, for having him. So that's a productive couple days. So keep him coming. Thank you, Tim, for sending. He's got all the communication out to all the current members, or all the people that were guests membership day. And the one thing I would say is that there's several of us that had people that were going to come to that membership day, so don't let that go. Bring them to a club meeting, and then we will follow up with them as well. And so we do have some brochures if you want to get that to them, but we're excited to meet your people that were intending to be here and welcome them here as well. So thanks. All right. Harry, you got anything from Foundation?
Nothing really new other than we're going to increase our donation to the shelter box in order to cover some of the events that have gone on in the southeast.
All right.
So look forward to hearing on that.
Christy, did youth or service give you a report? Oh, sorry. My bad. Okay, youth.
Nothing new. Information was out about the 4-week test of the kids and also asking for volunteers.
Awesome. All right. Wait, I'm going to check the room better this time. Okay, now, do you have anything for service?
our SOS yard cleanup is going to be October 20. No. When is that? Does anybody remember? Is it Saturday? This Saturday?
This Saturday? This Saturday. This is the last one.
I mean October. No, it's not. It's the November 2nd. November 2nd. Time's coming. I was like, wait a minute. Sorry about that. Probably 9-ish in the morning. We're going to do a yard cleanup for one of the families with SOS, an elderly gentleman's house. So we're going to do that. We'd love to have everybody there. Bring your kids. This is a really good, fun way for us to be together to serve, which we haven't got to do in a while. So if everybody is available, come out and have a good time. And then our trunk or treat, the fall festival, that's, I think, this weekend. Okay, so more information's coming on that. I got to talk to Edward. I'm not sure what's happening on the whole decoration for, I think we're doing Summer's vehicle. So I got to figure that out. So stay tuned for that. The other big thing I want everyone to think about, and go on Facebook now and share the pickleball video. Dwayne made a really cool video. Looks top notch. So it's on the Facebook page. You can go to you click on more on your phone on our Facebook page, and there's a video. It's the first video that pops up. You can share it from there. But let's get some traction. We've got to really put some legwork in to make this pickleball tournament a success. I believe we have a court sponsor and an ace sponsor at this time, but we would like a few more sponsors. So if you know people who are business owners, does not have to be you. I know a lot of times our members get roped into sponsoring everything, and we do a lot already. So if you have people you can ask, reach out to your friends who can make a sponsorship donation. Also, the teams are $150 per team. You can play. We will match you with a veteran through Gallant Few, and it'll be a really good time. So that's going to be a lot of fun. November 16th, this is coming up, so we really need to get traction moving on this, if you can. Awesome. Okay, so we'll get information out to him. And does anybody else have any other bits of information? Just a reminder, Wine Discovery will be March 1st, and we're going to have a planning meeting next, I think it's Tuesday, the 28th. I'll send information out about the location, probably somewhere easy in Old Town. So, and with that, if there's nothing else anybody wants to bring up, then we're going to hand it over to Justin to introduce our guest.
All right. Good morning. A lot of y'all in this room are seasoned veterans when it comes to career and technical education and Keller ISD. But we like to update y'all every year on new things that are happening. Thank y'all for things that y'all have already done. But also, we have a new director this year versus last year. Y'all are familiar with Rob Wright, who's now in Fort Worth. So Bodie Carroll is our new director, and we are here to share what's going on at KCAL and CTE in the district. So, Bodie Carroll.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. Hey, thanks for having us, guys. We did this a year ago, and it was fantastic, so thanks for having us back. So I'll go a little bit over kind of some of this general what is CTE, but I'll keep that quick, and then we'll move into some of our highlights from the last year, new things going on, and then a little bit about the Golden Triangle Rotary's involvement with CTE. So real quick, I'm going to pass these around because I don't know if you can see the screen or not. It gets kind of small. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Justin. So real quick, we'll go into kind of what is CTE, what does that mean, what is our role in the district, what students do we serve, and kind of go from there. So if you haven't heard of CTE, Career and Technical Education, formerly known as vocational education or career and technology education. It's changed names over the years. When I was in school, it was 2 or 3 programs. It was ag, it was home ec, and there was some sort of like building trades program. So you might remember those programs. Most schools have had something like that for decades upon decades. But they've really transformed over the last 10 to 15 years here in Texas. And in Keller, we're fortunate to have about 30 different programs of study students can choose from. So those 2 or 3 kind of traditional ones I mentioned, they're still there to some extent. But we have a whole lot more options now for students. And so, students are choosing a 4-year program of study. So think of it like a college major. So when they're in 8th grade, they're going to select a program of study for their high school plan. And then in high school, they're going to take coursework aimed at that 4-year plan. So let's say that a student chooses engineering as their 4-year program. So in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th, they're going to take a sequence of courses focused in engineering. As they move up to their junior, senior year, they have a little more latitude to choose courses that apply to their interests. So maybe they're going to choose robotics or aerospace or civil engineering, digital electronics. So they kind of have that latitude. A couple of things along the way that really make CTE unique is First off, every one of our programs of study has opportunities for students to get an industry-based certification. We call it an IBC for short. So that's a list of certifications that the Texas Education Agency has approved, and they say that these certifications are real-world, job ready for students. So think of something like a medical assistant or a certified nursing assistant, a pharmacy technician, automotive technician. So those certifications are available to students during their 4 years. And then the second thing that's an option or a really neat part of our program is students have the opportunity for internships. It looks different program by program, but we try to get all of our seniors in some sort of internship or job shadowing opportunity. So this year we have almost 1,000 students that will participate in some sort of internship in the Keller community. So it might be shadowing at the local hospital, it might be interning with the financial firm down the street, but you know, it looks different for every program, but those kids have phenomenal opportunities. They're interning with Fortune 500 companies like Caterpillar, Lockheed Martin, Textron, Bell, and the list goes on. We're looking at roughly 200 local companies that are hosting those 1,000 students this school year. So that's pretty phenomenal to think about, just the sheer number of students doing those. So here's those 30-ish programs of study we offer in Keller. You can kind of skim that list. You might be able to see it better on your handout. But again, everything ranging from the business side, healthcare, engineering, the trades, construction. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Any guesses on the most popular program on the screen? Welding is a good one. It's up there. Engineering, robotics, yeah. Most popular would be health science combined. If you combine all those together and say health science, it's the biggest one, about 2,500 kids. And then engineering would be number 2 at about 1,500 kids. So our 2 biggest programs, which makes sense. That aligns to our industry, our local workforce, and a lot of students really excited about those programs.
Welding has had a huge shift.
Yeah.
Before our new trades labs were created, the welding shop had a makeshift. They were out of a Connex container, and every day they'd unload all the screens and all the machines, plug into the outside lab. And we started with how many students? About 100, and now we're up to
We had a cap at
350. So, yeah, kind of already busting at the seams, and we just built.
So again, I won't go too in depth on this because I know a lot of you have seen this presentation before or something similar, but you know, a lot of people get confused about CTE versus KCAL and things like that. So what is CTE? Where is it offered? CTE is more than just KCAL. KCAL is about 50% of all of our CTE students in the district. We have CTE courses at each of the high schools and then at each of the middle schools as well. That's our primary locations. The Keller Collegiate Academy also has some CTE courses. We have a handful of online CTE course options for students. Those are in 8th and 9th grade. They can take those. So we're district-wide. We're across the district. CTE this year will be about 13,000 students in the district. And if you think about our total district population, which is 35,000, you know, and I'd have to look at the number. I don't know what our number of secondary students is because that's really where CTE is. But 13,000 of your 35,000 total, we're taking up a huge portion of those students. And so, you know, the one key distinction there that KCAL is like I said, about 50% of our program. So a lot of our really upper level junior, senior courses are at KCAL. And then some of our programs that are very specialized. Think of like an automotive or a welding program. It'd be really expensive to build an automotive shop at all 4 high schools, right? And then you split your student population by 4 campuses, and then you split your instructor by 4 campuses. So it makes it really inefficient. So we can take a program like automotive or welding. We build one really nice facility. We have a couple of really good instructors at one location. We bring the students to us. That's the model for KCAL, and that's why KCAL exists. And then you have programs like, say, engineering, where it starts really as a classroom, a theory-based course their freshman, sophomore year. And so they can do that at their home campus. And then their junior, senior year, when it becomes more hands-on, they're actually building robots and flying drones. Then let's move them to KCAL and have those hands-on courses in one consolidated place. So that's kind of the model there and how we choose Sometimes people get confused about the Keller Collegiate Academy as well. So KCA is a fairly new campus. This is the 4th year it's open. We have our first class of seniors at KCA right now. If you heard the news last year, KCA is housed at KCAL now. So it's a school within a school. It's a small campus. It's housed at KCAL, about 400 students, and those students are working towards their associate's degree. And so they'll graduate with their high school diploma and associate's degree, and they have a little bit of a focus in healthcare. And so that's kind of their tie back to CTE, and that's why it makes a lot of sense to house that at KCAL, so that those healthcare courses are already there where their campus is. Okay, so looking at some of the new stuff. So if you're not aware, we just finished, I say just finished, we're still doing a little bit of punch list, but we just, for the most part, finished up about a 60,000 square foot add-on at KCAL, and that add-on is primarily dedicated to the trades. So we have 7 new labs that are in a series on the north side of the building, and so there's 3 welding shops, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and a manufacturing shop. And so our community is really investing heavily into the trades, because we know there's a huge demand there and a huge opportunity for our students to pursue a job in the trades. And we'll talk a little about numbers here in a second, but we're really starting to see the enrollment numbers climb, which I think is outstanding for those programs. So you can see some of the spaces there. This one here is a welding lab. You can see all the welding booths. We have 2 identical welding booth labs. So freshman and sophomore, a little bit of their junior year, they'll spend in here learning how to weld, getting certified, and then they'll move up to a more of a hands-on or more of a fabrication class their senior year, where they get to start building. We're building our first trailer right now. We just ordered all the metal to build a trailer, and they're building a big barbecue pit of some nature. So really neat there. And then here you'll see the electrical training lab and then the HVAC training lab. One cool thing to note is all the equipment you see there was funded through a grant from the Texas Workforce Commission. So not only is our local districts like Keller pouring into the trades, but the state is as well. So TWC put in about $50 million, I guess 3 years ago now, and we were fortunate to receive about $2 million of that 50 to put towards the trades. So has some incredible training facilities and equipment there for our students. Something you wanted to add?
There's a Rotarian that was actually just a big instrumental part of designing this building, which was John Klein. So I was going to ask John, like, when did we start actually putting pencil to paper on the designs, and how long ago was that?
I think it was fall of 19 we first started having conversations.
As soon as we got through the planning meetings, and then we were doing that while we were trying to formulate the bond, but they were already working. Right, but once the bond passed, then we did a lot of the first process, and then we moved on for the CTE, and I became involved in about. So the community was gracious enough to pass this bond, and then COVID, and then everything that came with that, and having meetings virtually, having meetings in person, and we're still tinkering. So we just ended up tearing up some concrete the other day, and they're still going, but we're excited to have these spaces, and it's cool to see a group of students take pride in the building that John helped design. And one point, yeah. So each year, the JET grant, Texas Workforce Commission, puts out something to where you can usually, there's stipulations on it. It has to be a new program or a program of growth in your district. So with that, they usually cap you at about $350,000 to apply for, and you can only apply for one. That year that we applied, they had excess money, and they capped it at, you could write up to 3 grants to up to $750,000 per grant. So we had a wish list, and we were like, this would be cool, this would be cool. And we had a backup plan in case we didn't get our wish list. So we had like the Z list of what we could actually afford if it was on our dime. So we won all three, and we were, between us and Arlington, we were the first school in Tarrant County to have received that grant in multiple years. So it was like the perfect storm where they allowed three that year and up to that amount. So I think it was $1.76 million.
So kind of continuing on the trades topic there, you can see these numbers right here in the middle. This is our first school year where we've had all of the trades programs fully open for students to take. And so these numbers here are the first three anyways. You're looking at sophomore level students. So they'll start in a basic, what we call principles of construction, and then they'll branch out from there and choose their specific discipline. And so sophomores in those courses, we have 15 in plumbing, 40 in electrical, and 22 in HVAC this fall. So our goal is to get to was to get to about 25 students a year in each of those programs that start sophomore year and make it all the way through. Because if you think about graduating 25 future plumbers, 25 future electricians or HVAC techs, that's a gigantic push to our local workforce, and we can make a really big impact if we continue those trends. So we're really happy with those numbers, and we know that pretty soon we're going to actually put caps on those programs, because we know that's not going to be a health science program where you have 2,500 kids. These are small, concentrated programs that have a very specific purpose for these students to graduate and move into our local workforce. Yes, sir. That's a great question. We haven't made it all the way to a senior cohort yet, so I can't tell you for sure. But from what I'm hearing from companies, we should have no issue placing them in any sort of job. Yeah, so we did a real small pilot with the electrical program before the building even opened. And we started with like 9 students in electrical 3 years ago now. And so of those 9, we had 2 that made it through, and they're seniors right now in the senior capstone course. And those 2 students got hired yesterday as electrical apprentices. So we're really excited that we have our first 2 trades apprentices. They're starting next week, and so that's exciting. And just kind of a little side story there, because that's a great question. I was touring. They're a large electrical contractor in DFW, and they came by to tour last school year. And I was showing them our training space and kind of talking through curriculum and what the students are learning. And he said, well, how many students do you have? And last year we had about 14 sophomores. And I said, 14 sophomores? And he said, so they'll graduate in 2 or 3 years? And I said, yeah. He said, I'll hire all 14 of those students and start them at $24 an hour to come work for our company as electrical training apprentices. So I think that speaks volumes to the demand out there, and the quality of education our students are getting. And that's one company of hundreds, in the Metroplex. Yes, sir. When they graduate, yes, sir.
So from 14 down to 2, what is the major attrition the kids are dropping out?
Yeah, so that original cohort was 9, so 9 to 2. I think there's several factors. When we started that pilot, there was very little marketing. It was students who knew about it, found out about it, signed up for it, and they may not necessarily been sophomores. They could have signed up to take that sophomore class as a junior or senior. So I know we lost a few of them due to that. They weren't able to make it all the way through because they started late. And then I think, something we always say is it's extremely valuable for a student to take any of our programs in high school to learn what you don't want to do, because let's figure that out in high school before you go spend a bunch of money or waste a bunch of time after high school, and figure out what you love and what you don't love. We hear stories all the time about healthcare kids who will go to the hospital. They find out, man, blood isn't for me, and they'll pass out day 1, and then next day they're visiting the counselor trying to change their program because they had no idea. And so, if we can figure those things out, figure out what you like, what you don't like. We had a couple of HVAC students who got hired this past summer as helpers between their, sophomore and junior year, and they learned real quick, hey, I'm not crawling through attics in the summer. That's not for me. And so let's figure that out in high school. and make those decisions early on before you move into a career. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit of both, and that's part of our recruiting and marketing materials for these programs. Is we'll display like entry-level wages for most programs. And so earlier I mentioned those industry-based certifications. Each of those certifications can kind of correlate to a starting pay. Usually it's an hourly pay rate. And so as you graduate high school with your certified nursing assistant, CNA, you're looking at minimum expectation in this area is $14, $18 an hour as starting pay. So, we try to correlate that, and a lot of students will use those as a stepping stone as they work through their college program. I'm going to go to school to be an RN or a BSN, but hey, I have my CNA. Let me build up my resume. Let me get some experience, and let me make $18 an hour as a CNA while I'm working through college. So that's what we see a lot of times too.
I would say that a lot of these students are still young enough. It's still fresh on their minds. They remember Snowmageddon, where plumbers could name their price and people would pay them to come fix and rehook their water heaters up, and the electricians that were coming through trying to restore power and all that. So that's always it was a drastic event, but it's on their mind. One thing that we do add to all of our programs that we initiated a couple years ago was we added the optional elective of entrepreneurship. So even though they're in a health science or trades or automotive or cosmetology, they have the option to take an entrepreneurship class elective, a 1 semester class that just teaches them, if I want to become my own boss, how do I do that? What would it take to buy a fleet of trucks, start a business, all of that. One thing I want Bodie to kind of expand on is Bodie's done a lot of work with the state of Texas in plumbing and electrical, and there's certain licenses that you have to have so many hours to go towards. And with Bodie's relationships with the state and also people in the region, they've come to some agreements that will really help these kids graduate with the leg up.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I don't have the numbers memorized. But absolutely, we have some marketing materials, especially in the trades, because there is no additional school required. It's OJT hours, and so once you graduate, you just have to accumulate so many hours to work towards your journeyman or your master or whatever it might be. And so you think about, so I'm graduating at 18, I have zero debt, and I'm graduating making $24 an hour as a starting pay. The return on investment, or the opportunity there is incredible for those students. So that's one thing we try to push there, and I think that's why we see a lot of students gravitating towards that is, college isn't for everybody. A lot of kids want to work with their hands. They know there's a demand, and they know there's a good livable wage with those careers. So I think that it depends on the program. That's what Justin was kind of getting at. So I'll give you plumbing, for example. Plumbing is the best setup. So plumbing has their own state board in Texas. It doesn't go through TDLR, and they worked with the Texas Education Agency to create their own setup to where if you complete a high school plumbing program, so it's a 4-year sequence, if you complete all 4 courses, take a test at the end, we will grant you with 4,000 hours towards your plumbing license. And so 4,000 hours is, I think they call it a tradesman limited in plumbing, and then you work up from there to a master plumber. And so they're halfway there. 4,000 of 8,000 hours already done just by completing high school. So you talk about 2 more years of work. So by 20 years old, they could be a master plumber. And that's an incredible setup. The State Board of Plumbing has done a great job pushing that forward. And there's only 2 schools in Texas that have done this so far. One of them's out in East Texas, a much smaller program. And so we're actually having an event on November 15th. It's to kind of celebrate our plumbing program. It's a plumbing lunch and learn. So if you know people in the industry, we'd love to have them out for that. But the State Board of Plumbing is coming to that event because we're the first, one of the first of our kind. And they want to come meet the students and everything and be a part of that, kind of almost like a groundbreaking for the program. Yeah, great question. So in CTE, it's a little bit different with the funding. So CTE courses, I mean, you can kind of think in the back of your mind, these are expensive courses. A welding course versus an English course is substantially more expensive to operate long term between the equipment and the consumables. And so because of that, the state has a special funding allotment for CTE. So if a student is in a CTE class, they're bringing in additional funding to the district in the form of a CTE fund, and then those funds have to be directed towards CTE programs. So it's a way the state protects CTE programs. It helps bring in extra funding, and it's all based on enrollment. So the more students we have in CTE, the more money we're able to bring in through that CTE allotment. That's the simplest form of that. Alignment with colleges, junior colleges. We have a handful of dual credit classes just in general in CTE. The Keller Collegiate Academy is one that is fully aligned with the associate's degree. And then one thing we're working on right now is we've had conversations with Tarleton and UNT and UTA, but we're looking at a student graduates with their medical assistant license or certificate. How can that translate to college hours? Because obviously if I graduate and I finish a healthcare program at KCAL and I have this certificate in my hand that's a kind of universal certificate, can that waive 9 hours of my BSN or 12 hours of my BSN? What can that count for in college? And so Tarleton seems to be the one pushing it the most right now. And so we're hopeful that in the next 2 or 3 years, we have some sort of alignment with these certifications that will equate to so many college credits. And I think that's something that you'll see in the next few years.
Are there certifications that they actually, if they wind up with electrical, they finish HVAC, or they finish welding, is there a certification level that they achieve coming out of these programs?
Yeah, for sure. So in welding, every student, the main certification every student will take their sophomore year is their AWSD 1.1. It's their stick welding certification. So every student will take that test. It's a weld test. We have to hire a welding inspector to come in and inspect all the welds. And then from there, they can move up and take additional welding tests. They can get MIG or TIG. They can look at doing some sort of pipe welding certification. And then on the HVAC, electrical, and plumbing side, at minimum, they'll graduate with their apprentice card in hand, which means they're eligible to go work under a master, working towards those OJT hours. In the plumbing world, that one's the most advanced with the 4,000 hours. The other two, it's any hours they're able to gain in high school. For example, we have a master electrician and a master plumber contracted to work with our students. So when their hours are under that person, those hours can count towards OJT. So we're looking at probably graduating with 1,000 hours in each of those right now. And hopefully we can get that up to about 2,000 as our goal before they graduate. Yep.
I'll just add on to that there's also some stipulations for licensure. So cosmetology, they can do all their hours their junior and senior year, but they cannot take their test until they turn 18. So for some seniors, that's not until June or July. Some seniors, it was last month. So once they turn 18, they're able to take that test and become fully licensed as a cosmetologist. Same thing with our EMT program. They can do all the ride-alongs, they can do all the coursework, but they cannot take their EMT test until they turn 18. So we see a lot of those students graduate, and we stay in touch with them. and then over the summer they come back and say, I passed my test, and then they have that full license.
So I'll go into a few more highlights. I'll pick a couple out from the last year.
That's a cup of queso, by the way, not orange juice.
I'm going to click back real quick. One big highlight from last year is we were able to give out about $132,000 in CTE scholarships last year. A big part of that is from the Golden Triangle Rotary Club, so thank you guys for your contribution there. That number has slowly risen over the last few years. We started, I think, 5 or 6 years ago at $14,000, and it's just climbed every year. And that's all from local businesses in the Keller community. So thank you to everybody who's a part of that program. Like I said, we had our first 2 trade apprentices. They actually got hired yesterday, and that's from that small pilot program. So really excited about that and kind of them setting the foundation for students to come. A lot of new partnerships this fall. We're really growing in terms of internship partners, about 50 new partners this fall, and which equates to more opportunities for students. I've seen a lot of new partners come on board in the business world, in healthcare. We had a new engineering firm in yesterday, so we're really excited about the growth there, which equates to internships and opportunities for kids, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. I won't go into all these, but I'm going to pick out one more on here. One new highlight is this current school year, we dipped down to the 8th grade level pretty heavily this year. So we have a brand new course called Advisory for 8th graders. It's a project-based, almost like a research course. And students in that class, they'll spend their 8th grade year trying to figure out what do I want to do when I grow up. And so we put them through some career cruising, career aptitude type tests. And let's say you take that test and you find out, I want to be an engineer, or that's kind of the best suited career for me. And then the rest of the school year is built around that career. So they explore, what are my high school programs I could take? What certifications can I get in high school? What colleges are in the area? How much is the tuition at those colleges? What's the wage I can expect when I graduate high school versus graduate college? Are there jobs when I graduate high school, or do I have to have a college degree? So they're kind of working through all those options and figuring out the next 5 to 10 years of what that would look like for me. And then, you know, based on the salary that I can earn from that career, let's say it's $50,000, what sort of lifestyle can I live on that salary? And they'll work through those steps. They actually have to build a budget based on that salary. You know, can I afford a house, or do I need to live in an apartment? What does that look like for me as well? And so really trying to expose students to what are their options, and then what can I expect long term if that's the career I pursue. And so we're really excited about that, really hoping students will make informed decisions about their long-term plans instead of just picking the cool one or the fun one, or, you know, what my friend is doing down the hallway. And let's pick what's right for me, what my strengths are suited towards, and what's going to, you know, help me achieve the lifestyle I want to live. Great question. So state law is every kid has to take some sort of, we call it an endorsement plan. And so any of the CTE programs that study count towards one of those endorsement plans. They can also pursue something in science, math, or fine arts as a graduation plan. So they have to pursue something. In our world, you know, I mentioned the 13,000 students. Obviously, the majority of those students are pursuing a 4-year plan. But a lot of those students are also dabbling to figure out, you know, I might be in a welding program, but I want to take a culinary class, or I want to take an engineering class as almost like an elective. And sometimes it's just for fun, and then sometimes it's because they want to further their learning. You know, there's nothing better than an engineering student taking a welding class or taking a computer science class, a programming class, to help kind of supplement the gaps that we may have in our engineering program. So we see that a lot as well. Yeah, thanks, Justin. That's a good point. So, really excited about a brand new project. We're working towards a fall of 2025 building a tiny home. And so we have all these new trades programs, and so now we want to put them to work with a really cool project. And so we've been working on the planning, logistics, Do we have to get permits? What does all that look like? Working with a local architect, trying to work through building plans, also looking for material donations and fundraising opportunities so that we can build this first tiny home. We know it's going to cost us about $25,000, you know, if we're able to get a few materials donated. And then at the end of the project, we will sell it and use those profits to help with scholarships for kids in trades. And scholarships for kids in trades will look different. And for most of those kids, it might be something like some sort of toolkit to help them get their first job. Those two students that I mentioned got hired yesterday. The first question the guy asked them was, "Hey, do you have your own tools?" And their answer was no. Like, I'm 17, I don't have any tools. And you know, $1,000 for a tool set for these guys is a lot of money. And so we're hoping to use some of the profits from that to buy some of our graduating seniors their first toolkit to move into the real world. So. Yeah, and fund the next one. So if we can make enough money off the first one, in theory, that could fund it for years to come. And, you know, we hope to see this as a regular project in CTE down the road. Yeah, shower, bathroom in there, yeah. I like it. Okay, so I mentioned some of the impact. So again, we're incredibly grateful for Golden Triangle Rotary Club. You know, I know there's 7 or 8 members in the room, or current members that have been on our advisory council, our advisory board at some point in time. There's scholarship donors in here. The Golden Triangle Rotary gives a scholarship every year, or the last 2 or 3 years. And the cool thing with that one, if you didn't know, is it recurs or renews every year for those students. So they get $1,000 when they're a senior, and they keep up their grades and renew it, and they get another $1,000 for the next few years. And so really cool opportunity for those kids. Feeding our teachers at CTE month. And I know, you know, 2 weeks ago we had mock interviews, and I know there were several faces in here at mock interviews. So I just, you know, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for all of your involvement. Thank you for everything you do for our kids. It really does make an impact, and you know, we're grateful for you guys and what you do.
And I'll say this number is huge. So just a meal for a teacher during CT month, that's they love it. 2 years ago, that number's so high because usually last year we just fed the CTE teachers at Timber Creek High School from our club, and the year prior to that, the head principal was like, "Can you just feed the whole campus?" And I guess Rob came back and y'all were like, "Let's do it." So y'all fed the whole entire campus, even non-CTE teachers that year, and made their day. So this is from last year's meal. Here's some scholarships being handed out. Like I said, the amount of support from this club to CTE, that's why I started this thing. I know a lot of y'all are seasoned veterans. Felix started out the building with us, and he was in all those growing pains to see what it has become now. And it's just interesting, all the tiny connections that John designed the new building. Felix added so much. Everyone is pouring into this every day. So without Golden Triangle Rotary, we wouldn't be as successful and create these opportunities for students. Just I guess 2 months ago, Steve was designing a barn dominium and said, "Hey, I have all this pencil drawn. Can I hire a architecture student to make it in electronic format?" And I said, "Absolutely. Let's make it a project." So if you can't do a full-blown internship for the whole year, those little projects make a huge difference in our kids' lives as well. So I think they're at the end, and you have a meeting tomorrow with architecture and the student to say what you like and kind of finalize everything up, and then he's going to have a professional-looking set of plans that he can hand over to a builder and say, "Let's do it," you know. And that is queso again.
So like Justin said, as we wrap up, there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. It could be from hosting an intern, scholarship, providing a scholarship, and then we have, you know, all sorts of smaller opportunities in between, from coming to be a guest speaker, coming to do sort of a guest lecture in our trades programs, or a hands-on demonstration. We do those a lot, and you can see those opportunities there as well. On the next slide, there's a QR code. If you want to get involved somehow, go fill out that Google form. It'll send Justin an email, and that'll prompt us to reach out, set up a time to visit with you, and get you plugged in. So our contact information is also here. You know, reach out if you have questions, you want to come for a tour, you want to see the programs, you want to just learn more and get involved. Feel free to reach out anytime. We're happy to have you by, okay? Any other questions as we start to wrap up? They do, yes, yeah. It's
There's 4 people on our team, 3 of them are
we got a big game this weekend. We got LSU Saturday night. We gotta win that one. So, all right. Anything else? Thank you guys. Really appreciate you having us this morning.
Thank you.
Now you have to make over half the room not like them.
Okay.
Yes, you
I
have
like
to
it.
pick the winning ticket.
All right. 304-9144. 304-9144.
Oh, the newbie. Thank you. Glenn gets to go pick a card, any card. How many people in here have had a kid, like your own child, go through the CTE program? Because I think that's pretty cool. Like multiple. I have a kid in the program right now. She's in interior design, did mock interviews last week. It was super cool to see her dressed up professionally and going through that. So, and I think she's got real interviews next week. So it's pretty cool. Love it. Did you win? Oh, I'm so sad for you. But, all right. Anybody else have anything they want to add this morning? Going once, going twice. Let's do the 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Let the service begin when the meeting ends. Thank you, guys.